here by this view.
To see my braid. Are you recording? I said I have to pee.
Oh.
That's why I got how many people are making national chairs. Now let's get us this thing. Let's again. You guys found salt earlier, yeah? Yeah. Yes, salt and it's a pear and it's a Ready?
Okay.
Selfie. You ready? You want to watch me express my line?
Just want to get the.
Katya, you got a fancy drink.
There it is. The moon. got off work and my car is covered in snow. I'm a little concerned about losing power.
What's that?
Good morning. It's nearing the end of May. It's May 28th, and I just wanted to give you some updates on the garden. Everything's looking great. This month has been a little bit stressful. We found out that our landlord is going to sell the house after our lease is up in the end of July. So we have to move. I haven't had much time to read or even had much desire to read. So I'm trying to think of all the things of any of the books that I managed to finish, and I think I only read one book. We read The Chronology of Water by Lydia Yuknovich. I think that's how you say her name. This was our choice for book club, and it was really, really good. So you can see I tapped a lot. She's such an amazing writer. It's a memoir of her life, and man, what a crazy life she has had so far. I don't read too many memoirs, so I don't have much to compare them to, but she writes her memoirs very fluidly, going from different events in her life and her memories of them. It's not necessarily in chronological order, and she's kind of slowly reveals more every time she revisits a certain part of her life. We get to learn a little bit more about what was going on. And then she'll like use these themes to kind of connect all of her memories together. There's a lot. She just writes about the body and the experience of like being in your body in a way that I've never heard before. It's very raw, and it's kind of a sad. It's a lot of heavy themes. There is some themes of sexual abuse, some miscarriages, and there's a lot of sex and drugs, lots of drugs and drinking, some talk of suicide. Just, yeah, there's a lot of heavy themes. And I did go see, there is a movie made of the recently by Kristen Stewart directed it. It was a great movie. I saw it at the Denver Film Festival before I had read the book. I think that Kristen Stewart did a great job directing that film and just like being able to portray this story. I feel like this would be very hard type of story to adapt into film, but she did an excellent job. I think it really captured all of the the essence of the book in the film. Lydia, the author, mentions in the interview about there's been studies about memory, and that every time you recall a memory or engage in a memory, you're actively altering it or changing it and slightly so unconsciously this is happening, and so eventually you're not remembering it as in a memory as it's actually happening. It's all seen through like the filter of you and your brain and what's going on in there, and so and she was saying that the safest memories and the ones that are most accurate to actual events are probably the memories that you don't remember, the ones like you don't have the ability to actively like retrieve, which is so interesting to think about. And that's, I think, one of the big challenges of writing a memoir. But I think the way that she does it is that's not about like what her memoir is about. It's not about her trying to be factual. It's about her experience, and I think that, and she mentions that in their interview too, so that she's just trying to bring you along with her during all of these memories and experiences, and she's not trying to like set up a scene so that like you're getting the facts of something that happened, because that like pulls you out of the memory. She's just trying to share like authentically from her, for herself. And she was also a swimmer growing up, so if anyone is into books on swimming, or if you were a swimmer, you probably would really enjoy this as well. And then going back to the memory thing, she mentions, well, first of all, she name drops a lot of authors in this book. She's to school for writing and got her master's and all that, so she's a very educated writer, and so she's just like, there's just so many references to other writers, which is great. I love when people reference other writers. But she also mentions, again, because of the memory, she mentions Proust, and how he wanted to, let me see if I can find exactly what she says. I remember things badly. When I look back, things are underwater, and when I pick them out and bring them to the surface, they float around my idiotic attempts to drag them to land. I wonder what memory is, anyway. What writers are doing when they scratch at it. Usually I think of Proust, who tried to write a sentence about memory and ended up with 7 volumes about nostalgia. I just thought that was interesting that she brings up Proust, because that was another novel that I had started. Didn't get very far yet, because I switched to this one. So, again, it's a kind of similar type of writing style where it's very fluid, moving from memory to memory. So I'm excited to get back to this one. And then our next book club book that I'm excited to read is The Art of Burning Heather by Divry Bryn Donaldson. It's going to be it's a romance set in Scotland, so I think it's going to be a good summer read. And then for my book of the month pick for May, I picked this book. The cover is beautiful. Look at the artwork. It's called Canon by Paige Lewis, and I picked this book because it just sounded like a fun adventure type read. It's about 2 unlikely heroes who embark on a quest to win God's favor in this outrageously entertaining, profoundly heartfelt novel. So it sounds like it's going to be a little wacky. I mean, just look at the art, but also maybe there's some magical realism thrown in there. I'm not sure yet, but I'm excited to dive into this one. And it was one of the longer options on Book of the Month, which is good because I feel like Book of the Month always has really short novels, and I just kind of want to get my money's worth. So excited for that one. To get me back on track for reading is make a reading list for the summer for the next few months, because I had put a ton of books on my list earlier in the year, but it's probably good to just review and see if I do want to read all of those, or if I've changed my mind about some of them, and whatnot. So let's make a list. Okay, so here is the list. There's about 40 books on here. And I'm going to go ahead and cross off the ones I read already this year so that I can see my progress. A River Enchanted, Keep, Lost Lambs, Daughter of the Forest, Wuthering Heights, Cleopatra, Stein, Tea and Alchemy. Wow. This Bell Jar. Oh wow. So I have read quite a few. That's good to know. Oh, and I forgot to put Chronology of Water on here. Haha, I'll just write it in. I have on the list In Cold Blood by Truman Capote, which is true crime. This is like a classic that I've been meaning to read for a while. A Tale for the Time Being by Ruth Ozeki. That's a Japanese translated book, magical realism. A Year of Wonders by Geraldine Brooks, which is a historical fiction. The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway. That's classic. Swann's Way. Classic. The Magic Mountain by Thomas Mann, which is a classic German novel. Agua Viva by Clarice Lispector, who is a Brazilian writer. A Heart So White by Javier Marias, which is a Spanish translated book. First Lie Wins, which is a mystery. Earthlings, another Japanese translated book, magical realism. Fledgling by Octavia E. Butler, which I have yet to read any of her books, so I'm excited to start that. Our Share of Night by Mariana Enriquez, a horror. Wife-Shaped Bodies, another horror. The Sundial, Shirley Jackson, another horror. The Fate of Mary Rose by Carolyn Blackwood, which is another horror mystery. Foxfire by Anya Seton, which is a Western, I believe. Martyr, which is a newer book that came out by Keva Akbar. I've heard good things. The Ministry of Time by Kellyanne Bradley, which is a fantasy. Diary of a Void by Emi Yagi, which is another Japanese translated book. East of Eden, which is a classic by John Steinbeck. I saw a trailer for a TV series that's coming out about that, so I want to read that before I see the series. The Art of Burning Heather, which I already talked about. Canon, which I already talked about. The 7 Year Slip by Ashley Poston, which is a romance. Notes of a Native Son by James Baldwin, which is another classic I've been meaning to read. Child of God by Cormac McCarthy, which is a gothic horror. Slouching Towards Bethlehem, which is by Joan Didion, which is her collection of her essays. I did start this, and I've just kind of been slowly going through it. And A Good Man is Hard to Find by Flannery O'Connor. So we'll see if I can get through all of these. But yeah, here's my list. My typewriter is really old and probably needs to be repaired. Tell you about 2 more Japanese films that I watched by the same director who did Shall We Dance, and that is Masayuki Suo. His movies are so funny. I just love his sense of humor, and he recycles a lot of the same actors in his films. 2 others that I watched of his on Mubi was Sumo Do, Sumo Don't from 1992 and Fancy Dance from 1989. Sumo Do, Sumo Don't is about a college student who has to join the sumo wrestling team to get kind of like extra credit to improve his grade. The sumo wrestling team at this school is kind of failing. There's not a whole lot of interest in sumo, and it's like the club is dying. They're down to like 1 member, so he has to go and recruit some more teammates, and they're all like underdogs, and they start off being horrible at sumo, and each person kind of develops their own unique like wrestling style. But yes, very funny movie, and it's just, I mean, sumo itself is just so interesting, just like you have to, like the things they have to wear, and that they're practically naked all the time. So it lends itself to a lot of humor. And his other one is fancy dance. But in this one, his family owns like a temple, like a Buddhist temple, and he has to become like a Buddhist monk for a year in order to inherit the temple from his family. Punk rock artist, or in a punk band. And so it starts off, of course, hating it, and then there's a bunch of other people that join, a bunch of other men that also join, and he kind of becomes friends with them, and they sort of learn how to become Buddhist monks, and he actually starts to really enjoy it. And then his girlfriend shows up and tries to tempt him away back into his regular life. But yeah, lots of humor in both movies. Would totally recommend, if you have Mubi, check out Masayuki Suo, the director.